Welcome to the DX Today podcast, where you get facts and no hype. I'm Derek, and today we're looking at a pivotal moment in the history of technology. If you've been following the artificial intelligence space, you know it's been a wild ride. But as we move into 2026, the era of move fast and break things is officially over. We are entering what research firms are calling the accountability phase.
It's such a shift, Derek. Hi, everyone. I'm Chloe. For the last few years, it felt like every Monday there was a new revolutionary chatbot or a demo that promised to change the world. But according to the latest reports from Gartner, Forrester, and IDC, the novelty has completely worn off. Now, boards of directors and CFOs are asking the tough questions. Does it actually work? Is it safe? And most importantly, where is the money?
Exactly. The accountability mandate isn't just a catchy title, it's a structural shift in how businesses operate. To understand why 2026 is the year the floor drops out for the unprepared, we have to look at how we got here. We've been through a very specific 4-year arc.
Right. Let's break that down, because I think people forget how fast this moved. 2023 was the gold rush, right? Everyone was just discovering LLMs, and it was all about who could launch a basic chatbot the fastest.
It was. Then 2024 became the year of the pilot. IDC reported a 27% growth in AI spend during that time, but most of it was stuck in proofs of concept, or what some call pilot purgatory. Companies were experimenting, but nothing was mission critical yet.
And then 2025, which we just came out of, was about integration. We saw the agentic era begin, where AI wasn't just a text box, it started appearing in actual workflows. But even then, the guardrails were, well, they were a bit flimsy.
And that brings us to now, 2026, the accountability phase. This is where the bill comes due. We aren't just integrating AI anymore. We are being held legally and financially responsible for every single output. The biggest driver of this, and we need to be very clear here, is the regulatory landscape. Specifically, the EU AI Act.
Oh, the EU AI Act is the big one. I was reading the Sombra and Hey Data reports on this. By August 2nd, 2026, this act becomes fully enforceable for high-risk systems. This isn't like a best practices suggestion, is it, Derek?
Not at all. This is the world's first comprehensive legal framework for AI, and it has teeth. We're talking about mandatory accountability, explainability, and rigorous risk control. If a company's AI system discriminates or fails in a way that causes harm, and they can't show the data lineage or the audit trail, the penalties are staggering. We're looking at fines of up to 35 million euros, or 7% of global annual revenue.
7%. For a global enterprise, that's not a fine. That's a catastrophic event. It's no wonder boards are suddenly obsessed with AI governance. It's moved from the IT department to the boardroom.
It had to. And that leads us into the second major driver of this phase, economic realism. For the last 3 years, CFOs have been remarkably patient with AI spending, but Forrester is predicting a major market correction this year.
I saw that. Their data shows that fewer than 1/3 of decision makers can actually tie their AI spend to financial growth. That's a pretty damning statistic after billions of dollars in investment.
It's a reality check. Forrester anticipates that up to 25% of planned AI spend will actually be deferred or pushed into 2027. Why? Because enterprises are consolidating. They're cutting the experimental tools and focusing strictly on projects that deliver tangible EBIT impact, earnings before interest and taxes. If an AI project doesn't have a clear ROI, it's being cut.
So it's like the party is over and now everyone is checking the receipts. But let's talk about the technical side of this, because I found the shift in how we build AI in 2026 really interesting. We're moving away from just bigger is better, right?
Exactly. For a long time, the conversation was about parameters, billions and trillions of them. But Gartner's 2026 strategic technology trends show a pivot toward what they call DSLMs, domain-specific language models. Instead of using a massive general-purpose model to write insurance contracts or analyze medical data, companies are using smaller, highly tuned models trained on industry-specific data.
Which makes sense for reliability. If I'm a bank, I don't need my AI to know how to write a poem about a cat. I need it to understand the nuances of Swiss banking regulations.
Precisely. DSLMs offer lower hallucination rates and much higher accuracy. Alongside this, we're seeing the rise of AI security platforms. Reliability is becoming the primary metric, not just creativity or speed. If it isn't industrial grade, it isn't being deployed.
Let's dig into the leadership changes here, because I think the Chief AI Officer, or CIAO role, has evolved so much in just 2 years. I remember in 2024, it was almost a symbolic role. Now it seems like they're the new power players.
McKinsey and PwC research actually shows that the prevalence of the CIAO role has tripled, but their mandate has changed. In 2026, the CIAO is basically the Chief Operating Officer of AI. They aren't just looking at the tech. They're the bridge between innovation and regulatory risk.
I liked how the McKinsey report categorized companies. They talked about the high performers, that top 6% of companies where AI is actually moving the needle on earnings. Those companies don't treat AI as a cool add-on. They treat it as core infrastructure, like electricity or the internet.
That's the key distinction. And for those leaders, there are 4 critical technical priorities they're focusing on in 2026 to stay in that 6%. First is confidential computing.
Confidential AI. I've heard that term popping up. It's about protecting data even while it's being processed, right?
Yes, the trust gap has been a huge barrier for enterprise adoption. Companies were terrified of their sensitive data leaking into the training sets of public models. Confidential computing addresses that by creating hardware-level silos for data processing. It's becoming a non-negotiable for sectors like healthcare and defense.
And then there's the shift to multi-agent systems. This one fascinates me, but also feels a bit like science fiction. We're moving from AI being a passive assistant to being an autonomous digital coworker.
It's a massive jump, but it raises huge questions about accountability, the theme of the year. If an AI agent makes a mistake, say it executes a trade or approves a loan without human intervention, who is legally responsible? 2026 is the year we have to define those escalation protocols and legal frameworks for agent-led actions.
I imagine that's why digital provenance is also on that list of priorities. With all the deepfakes and automated content out there, you have to be able to prove where a piece of data actually came from.
Brand trust depends on it. If a company can't verify the source of its data, it's a massive liability. And that ties into the 4th priority, data quality frameworks. Research from TechMen suggests that 30% of generative AI projects will actually fail this year, not because the AI is bad, but because the underlying data is poor.
It's the old garbage in, garbage out problem, but with much higher stakes.
Exactly. Let's look at a specific industry where this is playing out in real time, insurance. This is a sector that has moved from AI readiness to total AI reliance, according to Deloitte's 2026 Global Insurance Outlook.
Insurance is such a great example because it's all about risk and data. I saw a figure that fraud detection in insurance is now a $160 billion opportunity for AI.
It's huge. And it's not just fraud. We're seeing a 25% growth in AI spend in the insurance sector this year alone, driven by real-time risk intelligence and behavioral-based pricing. They're moving automated claims processing into full production. In 2023, that was a dream. In 2026, it's a requirement to stay competitive.
But again, if an AI is deciding someone's insurance premium based on behavioral data, that goes right back to the EU AI Act and explainability. You can't just say the algorithm said so. You have to show the work.
Exactly. You have to show the data lineage. You have to prove there's no bias. That's why 2026 is such a turning point. The pilot purgatory we mentioned earlier, it's ending. The companies that spent the last 3 years building transparent, resilient ecosystems are pulling ahead.
And the ones that just chase the hype?
They're hitting a wall. Boards are losing patience and regulators are moving in. IDC even forecasts that CEOs who don't have a clear AI strategy and governance model by the end of this year will start facing replacement pressure. Digital leadership isn't optional anymore.
It's a survival of the disciplined moment. I think that's the perfect way to describe it. It's not about who can do the coolest demo anymore. It's about who can build the most reliable system.
Precisely. To summarize, 2026 is the year AI becomes industrial grade. We've moved past the chatbots and the hype. We're now in the era of accountability, where reliability, security, and measurable value are the only metrics that matter.
It's a lot to take in, but it's actually kind of refreshing. We're finally getting to the real work of AI.
We are, but the margin for error has never been thinner. If you're a leader in this space, 2026 is your break or break year. Build for transparency, prioritize your data quality, and make sure you can explain every decision your AI makes, because the world and the regulators are watching.
Well said. I think we've covered the heavy lifting for today. It's going to be a fascinating year to watch.
It certainly will be. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the 2026 Accountability Mandate. I'm Derek.
And I'm Chloe. We'll see you next time.
This has been the DX Today podcast. Facts, no hype. We'll be back next week with more insights into the shifting landscape of enterprise technology. Stay disciplined.